So welcome to Voyages in Language Technology for 2021. I'd like to start by acknowledging the First Nations people as the original inhabitants and the traditional owners of the land on which this languages course was developed. So the land where the University of Queensland is and the land where I'm coming to you today is Meanjin, also known as Brisbane. And we pay deep respects to all elders past, present and emerging on this land and the lands from which we are presenting. And I think it's particularly important for a course like ours to really recognise the deep histories of all the different nations, the First Nations people. In this course, we'll be particularly focusing on connecting with languages worldwide, 7,000 languages in the world, and also the many different languages across this continent. I think it's also useful for us to think about, we have people in this course who speak many different languages, and I would invite everyone to drop into the chat just some of the languages that you speak, as well as English. For me, that's going to include some computer languages. My first language other than English was Fortran, which is a very old computer language. But we also have many natural languages as well. And they are an amazing resource as we try and study language technologies, because the diversity of the languages and the skills that we bring to this endeavour will improve our tools enormously. And if you can see Jess Court's picture, Jess is not just waving at you, she's actually signing to you. So there's language in our visual images as well as in our speech, and we want to recognise the diversity of the ways in which we communicate and the formal languages that we use. So what are we going to cover in the course? Who's who, the schedule, where to get help, assessment information. I don't know how many people have seen this cartoon before. This cartoonist has a very specific style. If you're a computer scientist and you like cartoonists, you might recognize this as ACD. Our field has been struggling with this problem for years. There's a lot in language technology that our field has been struggling with. People have been trying to do speech to text for a very long time. And computer scientists, engineers, can bring algorithms to these problems. But 6 months later, and for us who are working on this particular course, 18 months later, wow, this problem's really hard. So one of the things we're going to be doing in this course is not just what is known. This is not just there's a received wisdom of the technologies, but also we're going to be talking about the current research and how the field is progressing as we go forward. Okay, who's who in the course? We have a variety of different people. I am Janet Wiles. I'm a professor in the School of ITEE. We have Ben Foley. Ben, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Ben Foley. I'm project manager of a transcription acceleration project at UQ that's funded by CODAL, the Centre of Excellence for the Dynamics of Language. So we're looking at technologies that can make it easier for people to work with language, particularly around the transcription. And we'll play with some of those tech in upcoming modules. I have a background in language technology development and the use of language tech in making resources, particularly with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander languages.
Thanks, Ben. Jess, we also have Dr. Jessica Court.
Hello. I won't turn my camera on because I am actually just getting ready and will shortly be heading in. But yes, hi. My research is to do with sign language technologies and working with deaf people to ensure that we're foregrounding their linguistic knowledge all the way through the process.
Thanks, Jess. Tutor for the course is Savita Datta. Savita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Shabita. I will be tutoring this course, and I'm not really sure what I was supposed to say.
Sounds like your dogs speak a different language, Savita.
Sorry?
It sounds like your dogs speak a different language.
Oh, so we have this one bird that's really talkative.
Just listening to it, try to work out what kind of bird it is. Okay, so the other people teaching the course are broad variety. Dan Vanesh has been mentoring a lot of the work in CODAL, so the ARC Centre of Excellence for the Dynamics of Language over the last several years. And Dan is a computational linguist and will be helping to contribute to the design of the curriculum for this course. Ashley is a PhD student who's going to be lecturing later on. David has contributed, was a PhD student last year, and has contributed some of the text to speech modules. Dan will be contributing later in the semester on chatbots. Some of you may already know Ash Rahimi is a lecturer within ITEE, and Pete Worthy is a project manager for a language and language technology and aging. So I'll just perhaps talk about the schedule, and then what I'd like to do is I'm going to give you warning. I'd like to hear from each of the students just a little bit about your interest in the course and if there's anything in particular. I know that some people have a little bit of trouble with turning the cameras on, so you can drop your comments into the chat, or it would be nice to actually talk to the group. While you think about that, the schedule is basically a structure. There's a lecture series, and then there are practical exercises. And the way we've set it up this year is the lectures will run on Wednesdays. Thank you all for getting up this early. I know for some of you it might be a completely different time of the day. If you feel like it, you might like also to tell us what time it is wherever you are in the world at the moment. And then on Fridays, there'll be practical exercises. So in the lectures, we're trying to look at what language is, and we're not assuming that you necessarily know anything about linguistics. There are people who've taken this course who've done linguistics and are getting to know technology. There are people who are already skilled technologists who are getting to know language. So the course is really bringing together the two of them. The practical exercises are intended to give you familiarity with current practical useful tools. So these won't necessarily be state-of-the-art research, because often those tools aren't used in practice for many years. It's a long time between developing a new algorithm and actually having software that people can run in practice. So the idea of the practical exercises is to get to know the tools that people are really using, and to be able to see beyond the current design to where it might be going, because the field is moving so rapidly. Okay, so one of the things about this course is that we're doing it online. And so a lot of the things in technology, trying to teach courses, particularly practical courses, online has always been a challenge. Now, obviously, it's not just us, but the whole world is trying to make education work online. And this course, we pioneered this last year. We're trying to build on what we learned last year. You will have been studying, I think everyone here, either teaching, learning, or doing both over the last year. And I think we're learning how just using this online world. So one of the most important things for a course like this is to really understand how and when to ask for help, and how to create the kind of conversation we would have had in face-to-face lectures, face-to-face tutorials. People would always come up at the end of a lecture. They, put their hand up during a lecture. So what we've done for this particular course is set up a Slack channel. So this is HCC. HCC is the Human-Centered Computing Group that Ben, Jess, and I belong to. And you can direct message Ben or Savita if you want direct messages to them, or you can just have general questions. A lot of the time, the questions you're wondering about are ones that others in the class might be wondering as well. Anything to do with the practical aspects of the course, you're welcome to direct message me. And the idea is just to create a conversation around how you're learning this particular, how you're dealing with this particular course and this particular material. Okay, so one of the things that's important for people who are actually taking the course for credit, and we have about half the people in the course who are taking it because they're auditing the course. So for you, you're welcome, obviously, to do all the exercises, but you don't need to get a grade for it. If you're interested in getting a grade so that you can report it, let me know. But otherwise, I'm assuming that people auditing won't be wanting their material graded. So the course assessment, 50% is the theory and 50% is the application. And the way we've done this is every week there will be some questions on the lecture material and some questions on the practicals. The quizzes are worth 10% overall. There is a mid-semester exam and a final exam. The quiz questions will give you a lot of practice as to what the mid-semester and the final are going to be about. The mid-semester is optional. We've done this in many courses, and it helps you to study the material halfway through the course. If your marks for the mid-semester are higher than the end of the year, then they will count 20% of the course. If not, so you can have a go at the mid-semester just to see how you're going, or study and, if you do better in the final exam, we will take the final exam mark. So in that sense, the mid-semester is optional. If you can't do it or you have connection problems on the day, don't worry, you will be able to do the final exam. And then the practicals are worth 50%.